Diane, what time is it, Diane? It's the morning, anyway, on Sunday of the 2nd of April, 2022, and we're virtually in 1957. Yes, it's a very ambiguous thing, I know, Diane, being in two times at once. But it's necessary for the task at hand, for the Blue Rose Task Force. We have to know how we got here, Diane, to this situation where Mother Earth is collapsing due to human, not divine intervention, human intervention. Due to human aerosol dispersions, hubris, mad science, spraying the sky with a lethal cocktail of ingredients, metals and polymer fibers, the metals to deflect solar radiation back into space to create an artificial cooling at our level of our ground level of the atmosphere, the lowest level here in this spherical 360-degree so-called reality. Diane, who's walking who in that equation? Who's wagging the dog, Diane? People think they're walking their dogs. The dogs are walking them. All is full of love. All is full of love, Diane. Dana, DNA, Scully, Golgotha, and I'm going to read from me that a huge amount of proof that all is full of love and light and truth and mystery and mystical magic and beauty. Life is that, Diane. That's how I ended up with this book, Diane. I have no doubt about it. When I went to get that yesterday at Annie's. We're gonna drive to Palmer, Massachusetts, right up here. We just have to drive up Route 20 here. Palmer, Massachusetts, Diane. Stardust and Snow, Chapter 2. I read Chapter 1 to you yesterday. This is from 2019. And it's probably the most beautiful book I've ever held in my life. Diane. I do not want to see the end result of this continued insanity of humanity. I don't want to see it, but I will, unfortunately, and everyone alive right now will, if we continue on the present course. If we don't put on the brakes, we're done. Humanity's done in favor of a cyborg race of servants and machine-human slaves, machine-human hybrid slaves who will have no chance of ever getting out, Diane. There will be no getting out of the prison that they are building. You can get out of the prison without walls of the Matrix in here, which is what I'm doing. I've done it, I'm doing it. There's no there. If you think you're there, if you think it's over, you're not there. That's the paradox. The only way you can be there on that beam, walking your walk, talking your talk, living your life, your dream, your script, your blueprint. Well, the only way is by continually reminding yourself, insisting to your whole mind and to whatever part of you, your shadow, that wants to just be done with it and say it's all over and you're all good. You gotta keep pushing against that and keep on going. Closure is like a drug. It's a revolving door here that doesn't ever stay closed permanently. Nothing stays closed permanently here. It's an opening and constant opening and closing. And on the other side, it's not like that. Here it's domination of density and duality and differentiation. Other side of the door, it's the opposite, it's the reverse. What dominates is unity and oneness. And the word dominate doesn't fit, because it doesn't have to force. It not only does it not have to force itself, it can't. Chapter 2. I mean, I'm not going to get all... I can do this, Diane. I can do this without getting all verklempt every single time. It's just so sad. What happened to Laura Palmer? Wrapped in plastic, Diane. Okay. Chapter 2. Stardust and Snow before we drive to Palmer. When I was 9, I sang a duet with David Bowie. It's true. It was almost Christmas in London, and I met David Bowie and we sang. I remember it was nearly Christmas because Grandma and I took the train up to London, and it was cold and windy and all the leaves were down. There were decorated trees in the windows, tinsel and stars. The air smelled smoky and maybe a bit like it was going to snow. I'd won a competition. I never usually went in for anything like that. People like us never win things, Grandma said. It's all just the luck of the draw, and we're hopeless. But this time I had... Hold on, Diane. I just realized and remembered that I have the limited time here. I got 38 minutes. Not that I'm going to need that much. Well, actually, I'm going to use that all here, I think. No, I won't use all of it because we're going to go to Palmer, and I want to make I'm not going to make a large video in Palmer. Up Route 20, past St. Anne's. We're not going to go to St. Anne's today because we went there yesterday evening, or right before evening. A beautiful time yesterday when it was clear blue skies and golden sunshine all along the way. It's so sad and beautiful at the same time, Diane. But this time I had, and this time it mattered because it was a competition to do with a movie I really loved. You know the one with the King of the Goblins. It had come out the year before, when I was 8, and I still loved it. Andy, are you gonna cry every time? Man? Andy? Andrew? Android? Andromeda? I'm sorry, Sheriff Truman. I'm sorry, okay. I'm Andy. I'm the man. So I gotta feel it all. Why? Like what Peter said to me last year. When I was falling into a pit. He said, "You're not like the rest of us. You feel everything." And then a couple weeks ago he said, "I'm like a little kid." Well, I'm still standing, and I am feeling like a little kid. After all this time, I'm picking up the pieces of my life without you on my mind. X's and O's. Okay. You know the one with the King of the Goblins. It had come out the year before when I was 8, and I still loved it. I'd seen it more than once. I had the book and the record. I knew all the words. I loved to sing, but only by myself. Sometimes I recorded myself, singing and telling stories. When I was 9, I had one of those huge ghetto blasters. It was almost as big as I was. It had 2 speakers and bits that lit up and graphic equalizers, whatever they were. I used to love to record things. And I would make mixtapes for myself. "Don't you dare go recording me," Grandma shouted. "Don't you dare go bugging me in my own home." Why would I want to record her, though? Excuse me, Diane. Getting all verklempt can cause side effects. Grandma was interested in fashion. She loved to go into town and buy new clothes. They'd be clothes that were slightly too young for her. That's what Grandpa said. "Look at you, you look like a fat Cher." On the day we went to London, I got something in the gap in my teeth here, Diane. I think it's a little piece of almond. It feels uncomfortable. Oh, it's still there. Oh well.
Oh, if you got braces, you wouldn't have to deal with that. You could have got your teeth fixed. You could have got your... Hey.
I like them as they are. Braces. All of this augmentation and intervention is excessive. The perfectionism of the cosmetics and the tyranny of it, the oppressiveness of it for women and men. Makeup industry, mask industry, mascara, the mask of Ra, like this grotesque geoengineering mask they put on the sun, the dimming of the light here on Sun's Day. On the day we went to London, the day of the special screening, Grandma was wearing her pink fur coat. Oh no, Diane, I hope the dust on on Mr. Jackpot's hat here that I put on today, because I couldn't find my other hats. Or maybe there's one back here. Oh, here it is. There's this one I left in the car, but, well, it's not, it's chilly. It's around freezing, Diane. There was fake frost on the car here on April 3rd today. April Fool's is the whole month. And that has a lot to do, they brought us the corona, they declared the pandemic in 2020 in the month of Mars, March, the god of war, just like the build-up to the Iraq invasion in 2002 or 3, was it? 3, when I was in Santa Fe. I almost said when I was here, because Sturbridge, here in Massachusetts, reminds me of Santa Fe. And Mars is when they did 3/11, 3/11, in the year of the 113, November 3rd, election of the Biden operation, the Biden operation of the mask, double masks. He probably wears 2 sets of Depends too, creep. Maybe 3. His underparts, his undergirdle mask. He's just a puppet, just like the trumpet was a puppet, and is a puppet. He's an orange puppet. We got a white, decrepit, demented puppet, and an orange, megalomaniac, ivory tower dwelling puppet. In Manhattan Project. Queensman. House of Cards. The poker card is the trump card. And then in April of 2020 is when all of the insanity really got going. Don't forget the week when I was presented with the surgeon's mask in the beginning of April, on April 5th, that day, a cashier, a grocery boy, getting paid $25 an hour, for fuck's sake, in a for slaving for fucking almost 20 years, and he was hired at 850 when was way overqualified at 28 for that position. He'd been working customer service since he had a paper route, but the Clegg, who hired him, nickel and dimed him. And then he ended up getting fired about a decade later for stooping a crew member, a young crew member in the dairy box. Clegg. Max Clegg. Captain Clegg. So April Fool's month was the month when the week after, in April, it was the week after the Surgeon General said don't go out, and people were buying masks and hoarding them like the toilet paper for their anuses because they were assholes, following the fear factor, fear porn, the batshit insanity. Week after the Surgeon General says, don't rush out and buy those surgeon masks. They don't do anything to protect you from nothing. It says on the box, they're for surgeons and for them to wear so they don't get their spittle into what they're fucking doing surgery on. If I sound angry, Diane, it's because I am. And I'm sad about where humanity has fallen. What's been happening in my sleep cycle, what's been going on while I've been away, and now I'm awake, and it's a nightmare. But I'm in love, not with not with one woman anymore, with woman herself, with man himself, with life itself, with love itself. That's what I'm in love with. That's what is building. That's why my heart is building like a lightning storm, Diane. So the month of the Fool, April, Aphrodite, Ishtar, Easter, Oyster, the month of tricks and treats. On the other side of October, of the Samhain Halloween festival, feast of El, God, the Canaanite Phoenician picture, image of God. Not God itself or himself or herself or whatever, but as the light and as truth, as care, as law, as justice, Isis, the mother of heaven, the black night, the dark night of the sky that is the backdrop and makes it possible to see stars. Her. Aphrodite, April, Easter, Ishtar, Venus is when they brought us the operation of masking and plexiglass and 6 feet apart, because it's a society of fools. April Fools, Aphrodite, Venus, Ishtar, goddess of beauty, cosmetics, fools. Children who do not take responsibility for themselves and for their actions and pass the buck onto criminal politicians. I had the book and the record called Labyrinth. I knew all the words. I loved to sing, but only by myself. Sometimes I recorded myself singing and telling stories. When I was 9, I had one of those huge ghetto blasters. It was almost as big as I was. It had 2 speakers and bits that lit up and graphic equalizers, whatever they were. I used to love to record things, and I would make mixtapes for myself. Don't you dare go recording me, Grandma shouted. Don't you dare go bugging me in my own home. Why would I want to record her, though? Grandma was interested in fashion. She loved to go into town and buy new clothes. They'd be clothes that were slightly too young for her. That's what Grandpa said. Look at you. You look like a fat share. On the day we went to London, a day of the special screening, Grandma was wearing her pink fur coat. It was her favorite thing in the world. She also wore a colorful headscarf and spiky high-heeled boots. On that day, I was wearing a white shirt, a red V-necked jumper, and checked trousers. It was more or less what I always wore, but that day I was extra smart. because we were going to London to be with the other competition winners, and some of the stars of the movie were getting to go to be there as well. We're going to be there as well. Most of them were Muppets. But the big star of the show was David Bowie, and he was actually going to be there. Remember, Diane, this was sitting right on the front of the counter at Annie's, who I looked up and found on the flux capacitor smartphone. The second closest to my house. The first one I called bookshop I called didn't have the book. Second one, Annie's, didn't have this book. I was The Wizard of Oz, first edition. First place didn't have it. Annie's did. So she's getting this for me, and I follow her. I walk back to the counter, and this is facing me. Stardust and Snow. And it doesn't say on it that it's about David Bowie on the cover. I asked her without picking up and just standing there looking at it, kind of dumbfounded and starting to feel the do-do-do-do-do-do-do coming over me. Not like in a creepy, like, bad way. I don't think anything with Twilight Zone is really... I think Twilight Zone is beautiful art, and I love it, and it doesn't make me scared. So I said to her, "What is that?" And Patty, her name, at the counter, wearing green and purple, probably, 70-year-old woman there, who's like this perfect archetype of the freaking used bookshop keeper. I mean, the perfect character. Just like George, the at the old Sturbridge Village, and all of them over there. So she tells me right away that it's about David Bowie and a little boy with autism. So I had to get it, obviously. I'm not going to after all this. But I knew right then, and I know more and more now, what I suspected. It's confirmed. It's been confirmed fully the last 2 days, Diane. And I know, and I'm not going to speak about it much and go into details and specifics right now, or maybe ever. How far we're going? I don't know if I'm ever going to finish this chapter. All right. I'll read the rest. Wait, I'm almost done with this little segment, so I'll just finish it. And then drive to Palmer. You'll see Palmer, Massachusetts with me for a little bit. See what's there. If anything, any clues. I mean, the town itself is a clue. It's proximity to me now, where I've moved here since last year. From the North Shore of Massachusetts out here into central Massachusetts. So here's what Grandma says. Here's what Grandma says about Bowie. This is significant, everybody. Listen to this. And he was actually going to be there. David Bowie was going to be there. Him, Grandma said. He's a flash in the pan. He's overrated. Who cares about him? She says that he's a flash in the pan, Diane. I'm the flash in the pan. I mean, you're the flash in the pan. I'm the great I am. Which is which, Diane? Dana. She didn't think David Bowie was anything special. But I did. And Grandpa did. I loved my grandpa. We did everything together. He used to buy me books. He understood about David Bowie and the film in which he was the Goblin King. When the letter came and I found out I'd won, I dreamed that David Bowie would take me away, just before Christmas, far away to the land of the goblins and away from Grandma and Grandpa. And Jennifer Connelly is in it with him. J.C. Jennifer Connelly, the woman on the pier, 3 times. Dark City, anybody? But I didn't want to leave Grandpa. You're not the only winner, Grandma said, lots of kids must have won prizes. It's a film show, then. If it's a film show, then they've given out loads of tickets, haven't they? Hardly makes it special. But it did, I thought. And it was just before Christmas in London, and David Bowie was going to meet us there. Diane. See you in Palmer.